I'm sure Taiwan will be a topic of conversation. It always is. As you know, we understand the Chinese understand our position on that topic. We understand theirs. I think both countries understand that it is neither one of our interests to see anything destabilize happen in that part of the world. We don't need any destabilizing events to occur with regards to Taiwan or anywhere in the Indo-Pacific. And I think that's to the mutual benefit of both the United States and the Chinese.
That is the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signaling that Taiwan could be a priority topic in the summit between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping next week. In a Fox News Live exclusive, let's bring in now Taiwan's representative to the U.S., Ambassador Alexander Yu. Ambassador, great to have you on the program.
Thank you
great
for having
to see
me.
you. I want to read the statement from China just put out this week on Taiwan. They say China will never waver in its resolve to defend the nation's reunification and safeguard territorial integrity. Taiwan secession attempts are as incompatible with cross-strait peace as fire and water. To uphold cross-strait peace and stability, it is necessary to unequivocally oppose Taiwan secession. What do you make of those words, or saying it's like fire and water?
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as Taiwan secession. The formal name of my country is called Republic of China and Taiwan, and we've been existing since 1912. People's Republic of China was formed in 1949, so who's first, who's second is very clear. But at the same time, People's Republic of China has been trying to get Taiwan for 76 years now.
And they failed.
And they failed, and so, but they have to realize that, first of all, People's Republic of China never had a hold on Taiwan, ever. Mm-hmm. They never controlled this. There's no such thing as reunification because they never really had us as part of them.
So you're saying China's wrong here? It's mistaken.
Well, yeah, they're trying to use its historical, basis to claim Taiwan, but again, that's unfounded.
The reason why Taiwan it might be a priority conversation when the president goes to Beijing is because of what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. There are some out there that are worried that because Iran is trying to put a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, it might be making China feel confident that it could also do the same thing in the Taiwan Strait, which would be devastating to the global economy because of the microchips that you all produce. This is the former Energy Secretary, Rick Perry, on this show just a few days ago. Watch.
The Iranians are trying to change the rules of the game, turn this international water into controlled passage, a zone of controlled passage is the wording they're trying to use. And you can bet China's watching this very closely because obviously if the Strait of Taiwan even makes this more interesting from the standpoint of future movement of oil.
Are you worried that China's getting more confident watching Iran to issue their own blockade?
Well, Foreign Minister Wang Yi, in his recent call to Marco Rubio, Secretary Rubio mentioned that Taiwan was the highest risk factor in the relations between the United States and Taiwan and China. Actually, I think that's the other way around. That China, People's Republic of China, is the biggest risk factor in not only the Taiwan Straits but in the Indo-Pacific region. China has been engaging in the largest peacetime military buildup in history, and they're not having any threats on their borders, but yet they have the largest military, spending more and more military, and we are strengthening our self-defense according to, in response to their growth in military, as well as other countries.
They're gaining more confidence watching this?
The United States' actions in Iran, as well as in Venezuela and other places, it proves to me the United States is willing to use the necessary elements and instruments to achieve its goals. So I think when People's Republic of China is thinking about acting against Taiwan militarily, they have to also consider the fact that there are other forces with vested interests in the region that may have to react because of that conflict. Again, as Secretary Perry said, this conflict, if it happens in Taiwan, in the Taiwan Straits, it will be of massive scale that will cost trillions and trillions of dollars, affect world trade. And Taiwan Strait is an important trade route in the world.
Which is why we're arming Taiwan and creating this porcupine of the island. And these are some of the arms sales to Taiwan just as recently as December of 2025. We've got self-propelled howitzers, the high-mobility artillery, rocket systems, the wire-guided missile systems, and the Javelin missile systems, which we hear a lot about. You know, the president has called Xi a tremendous guy. He's referred to him as a friend. I wonder how you would refer to him.
Well, first of all, we are buying arms in response to their aggression. And the United States, based on the Taiwan Relations Act and the 6 assurances, is providing us, selling us arms as needed, commensurate the threat that we're receiving. And that's why we are acquiring the arms as needed. My legislature, Congress, just passed a package for additional resource to buy.
So are you prepared if this were to happen?
Well, we're going to try to make it as hard as possible for them to invade us. If he wants to do it, you mentioned the porcupine. We believe in peace through strength. And we would like to have dialogues with People's Republic of China, but it has to be on a mutual respect basis. And we'll always, certainly, we will negotiate on a position of strength. So, we can mark our words that we are decided to preserve our homeland as needed, and we will fight tooth and nail to preserve the peace and stability, but also our values of democracy and freedom that we have in Taiwan and not in China.
And you're confident in the president as he goes to Beijing next week?
Well, again, as Secretary Rubio mentioned, and as being United States has repeated many times during these last few days, that the position of the United States, a standing position on Taiwan hasn't changed. It's not changed, and we believe that the peace and stability of the Taiwan Straits is a benefit to everyone concerned, including China, including us, including Japan, including the United States.
Okay. Ambassador Yu, great to have you. I'm sure you'll be watching the events of next week very closely, and we'll be in touch. Great to see you.
Thank you very much, Aisha, as will the whole world. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.